Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to theCUBE's live coverage of Vast Forward 2026 here in Salt Lake City. I'm your host, Rebecca Knight, alongside Dave Vellante, my co-host and analyst. I'd like to welcome back to theCUBE, John Mao. He is the Vice President, Business Development and Alliances at Vast. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having us, thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, we're so excited to be at your first ever customer conference.
It's amazing, it's amazing.
It is, it is. I'm sure for you, who's been almost here since the beginning.
I've been here for 6 years now, so it's, I looked in the crowd today during the keynote, and it was kind of hard to take in, you know, it was very, we were such a small company when we started, and now it's amazing.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
We are going to need a bigger boat. We're excited, we're excited.
Well, let's actually talk about that for a second, because you sit at the center of Vast, for lack of a better word, Vast Alliance ecosystem. At this year's Forward, several major partnerships were announced, which we're going to talk about all of them, but I'd like to just hear you talk in broad brush strokes about what this moment says about Vast and how it's thinking about its ecosystem versus platform.
Yeah, we've been talking about Vast becoming the AI operating system, and I think it's a very great analogy, because if you think about an operating system, it has really two main purposes, right? One, which is to serve as the layer that runs on hardware, right? That's obviously very important. And then two, it's to serve and host applications, right, at the end of the day. So that's, from my team's perspective, that's kind of our charter. That's our charter, is to go figure out how to build strategic partnerships with hardware vendors, right, to make sure and that's everything from compute, to storage technologies, to networking technologies, to obviously the accelerated compute technologies. And then similarly, and my team is actually divided like this. We have another half of my team that's focused on applications, right? Whether applications at the solution level, now in the AI world, it's more about models as another type of application as well. And so, yeah, it's very exciting. I am very fortunate and lucky, because I get to sit right in the middle of all of the innovation and the technology that's happening with our partners. So yeah, it's fun.
So let's get into some of these announcements. So CrowdStrike, obviously a gold standard for cybersecurity. You're building CrowdStrike natively into your platform. So when I think of like cloud native, AI native, we throw these words around. What do you guys announce, and what does it mean to be sort of native inside of your stack?
Yeah, I think it's two-sided, right? So we have some native integrations that fit now into CrowdStrike's Falcon platform, and we have large customers already doing that and using that today. But I think the more interesting part of the announcement is, we're bringing their technologies into the AI operating system as well. To run natively means being a part of the pipelines in which we're hosting now, the AI lifecycle that's going to run more and more on top of the Vast AI OS. So they have a great set of technologies around data access. We do a lot at the data layer from a protection perspective. Those are very complementary, but they also do a lot around things like identity access, right? And if you think about the future, this is where my brain hurts sometimes thinking about this, but we're moving from this world of humans having a security policy, a profile, you can access this, you can do that, to autonomous AI agents who have now authority to not only read and access maybe enterprise's data, but eventually take action, right? And that requires a whole new mindset and approach to securing AI applications in the future that a lot of old approaches and old solutions may not have been a really good fit for. So yeah, we're super excited. They bring best in class technology. We're looking at lots of different ways to integrate up and down the stack with us.
So what does that mean? You bring the CrowdStrike agent into Vast?
There's CrowdStrike agents that can come into our platform. We can also integrate them into our pipeline by invoking specific services that may be even hosted remotely. So there's lots of different paths in which customers could eventually consume this. But it is about inserting different capabilities. We're not naive to think we can do everything, right? We're not a security expert. We're not doing all of the things that those companies do in terms of tracking bad actors and things that are out there, from a software perspective. So we need to lean on them.
Yeah, then their threat intelligence is amazing.
Exactly.
But even, John, within the CrowdStrike Falcon platform, there's a lot. So I presume it's early in the relationship.
It is early, yeah.
So you're trying to pick your spots.
Yes.
Is it detection and response? Is it stop the breach, as George Kurtz? I mean, where do you start? Because that's a vast.
I think there's two
platform,
logical
no pun
places.
intended.
Yeah, there's two logical places to start. One is around data access, and then one is around more on like the data exfiltration side, right? So that's a big common problem. We've seen it on. It's published everywhere, right? When you roll out AI, one of the big concerns is always around data leakage, right? Like what goes out and goes through those models. They have sets of technologies that can focus on that. How do we insert those into these pipelines, into these applications that will eventually run on VAST?
So is this partnership in your mind a signal that AI infrastructure and cybersecurity are no longer separate conversations? I mean, if they ever were, really, because
no, I think this is, when I talk to enterprise customers, many of them, a lot of people have kind of said, oh, enterprises are slow, they're kind of laggards moving in, AI from an adoption perspective, but they have serious concerns. Like this is one of them, right? Like this is, like you can't go to production as an enterprise and have an accident when things like this leak out or people access the wrong information, or maybe-
or the agents accessing
even
the wrong.
That's right, or maybe even basic things like, obviously supply chain risk at the hardware level, you're familiar, right? But at the software level it's the same, and now it's within models, it's also the same. So it's just a bigger surface area for the enterprise to have to wrestle with on top of all the new technologies. So I think they will start to fuse and become one, and not one and the same, but they have to be thought of together, right, as a single system.
What is the model? What's the business model? Is it an OEM deal? Is it a licensing deal?
We haven't announced that yet, but more and more details of that will come out over the next several months. So
let's talk about TwelveLabs.
Yeah.
I think Jeff introduced this on stage.
He did, yeah.
And he talked about they're actually a frontier model for video.
Yep.
So explain to the audience. There aren't a lot of frontier models.
There aren't.
We'll throw that word
Yeah.
around. So what makes them a frontier model and the video specialty? Explain.
Yeah, so frontier model companies like, obviously the big names like an
AI,
OpenAI.
Anthropic.
That's right. So they built a model from scratch, right? Like they built their own, they trained their own models, and they iterate on those models, and they improve on those models, and they build subsequent applications based off of those models.
Versus, say, DeepSeek. That's not a frontier model, but it's a derivative,
It could be a derivative, yeah. So there are a lot of derivatives, tons of derivatives now, because there are open source foundational frontier models as well, right? Obviously Llama is a big one out of Meta and so forth. TwelveLabs is a special company that can focus on computer vision, right? And this is really exciting to me because we now have the technology in AI that can actually look at video and understand it. They can tell you exactly what's happening scene by scene as if a human was watching, but like at 1000x fast forward speed, right? So like what humans would normally take like linear time to watch, AI can watch it in non-linear time and understand everything and remember everything and connect everything. That's wild to me, right? They can also provide capabilities to do like visual search, right? So everyone's familiar with like a visual search of you take a picture and you can find something. They can do similar things now in video by looking at a specific maybe it's a specific scene, and then look for that same occurrence across a massive amount of data. So they have two models that they built. They're foundational models, like you mentioned, Dave, and they've been doing really well. They've been really focused in the early days in media entertainment, natural, right? Makes sense. They've been doing that predominantly in the public cloud, and what they realized is that there is a much bigger market outside of media entertainment for their models, for their technologies. And so they've been actually going into a place that we've been also focused on, which is in other markets that are also computer vision oriented, but need to stay on-prem, or maybe it's a regulated industry, or there's a lot of security concerns, or maybe for some public government entities, they have special needs. And so the partnership is about them now bringing a lot of their technologies onto the VAST AIOS to help enable some of these types of workloads.
So, I mean, the investments required to build a frontier model are massive.
Yeah.
Particularly because you need a lot of compute.
Yeah.
So, like my obvious question is, what's their kind of protection against the mainstream, the big four LLM vendors? They have some unique IP, they've got business traction. Yeah. What's their kind of moat?
And I am not the expert, so I don't want to put the wrong words out there.
Yeah, I shouldn't ask you to speak for TwelveLabs.
But they do have unique.
But they're not widely known. I mean, they are in the community.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, they're like I said, they're very specialized in computer vision. I've heard this directly from our customers who have smarter people than me. The CTOs of a global bank, for example, told me recently that he's looked at a whole bunch of different computer vision models and theirs is the best. So that's my only data point I can give you.
My question for context is, why is this computer vision and video intelligence becoming more of a priority for organizations right now?
Yeah,
because you had said this is used predominantly in media and entertainment. Yeah, I get that.
Yep.
But what about for the global financial institutions?
So in this case, a lot of the global banks are starting to, I don't know exactly the catalyst for this, but I've seen this pattern now where a lot of the banks are looking to leverage video to help do things like prevent money laundering, right? Or prevent fraud. You can obviously prevent fraud on the digital world, but there's still this kind of vector of like the branch locations, right? Like money laundering happens with the guy walking in and doing something at a teller or at an ATM machine, right? That's the video source, right? So that's one use case that we've actually heard and we're actually working on together. But there are other applications of this. So I've talked with some retailers. Everybody has video.
Yeah.
It's not just shoplifting, so prevention is one, but they're actually looking at this from a customer analytics perspective. So how many customers walk through each of the aisles throughout this time to that time? How long do they stop at the end cap of the aisle to look at the advertising display, right? Because that data is so valuable to them, not only on product placement, but also back to advertisers, right? To kind of upsell and upcharge those premium locations for product placement, right? And there's just so many more. Smart manufacturing, right? Being able to look at quality of things coming off the assembly line. Inside it could be also around personnel safety, right? There's actually a wide number of use cases, most of which is already being recorded by CCTV systems, video surveillance systems, which no one's really watching, right, other than the security guard. But now you can use technology to extract more insight and value out of a massively untapped asset for most organizations.
I can see some government surveillance.
Yeah, me too. I was just going to say.
Can't comment on that. No.
All this Anthropic stuff that's going on, they just relax some of their conditions. I heard. But okay, and now I got to ask you about Cosmos.
Yeah.
When I first heard you guys introduce Cosmos, I was like, okay, these guys are kind of getting into our business, content creation, but it's become much more than that, right? To explain what Cosmos is, what it started out as, how it's evolved, and where you are today.
So Cosmos actually we launched last year, I think October, so 2 Octobers ago. Yeah. And its original incarnation was really focused around enabling a developer community because, as we're moving up the stack, we need builders. We need people that will build the next generation of AI applications on top of our platform. And so that's where we started. But the vision for Cosmos, even back then, was to use that as a way to build the broader community and ecosystem for VAST. So that becomes kind of our umbrella, if you will, for everything. So the announcements we actually made this week are about extending that to kind of realize our full vision. We are now rolling out partner tracks within the Cosmos. It's not just about developers, but it's also about our channel partners, our distribution partners, our OEM partners, our cloud partners, our services partners, our technology alliance partners, all under that same umbrella. Because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, even in the security context, we're not naive to think that we can do everything. We do want, and Brendan was very clear, we want to facilitate a broader conversation across a wider community, because that's the only way that a lot of our vision will come to fruition.
And when you go into Cosmos, whatever that community is, I forget what you call it, but it's kind of cool. It's a good interface. There's a lot of content coming in, a lot of Q&A going on.
There'll be more.
It's a good forum.
Yeah, we're actually doubling down also on the developer community. So this probably didn't make the press release headlines, but we've been publishing a lot of open source blueprints to help kind of jumpstart the developer community. So it's about kind of bringing everybody together. I mean, this event is also a great kind of example of that. You have customers here, partners here, channel partners here, service partners here, cloud partner, everybody is here, and we actually encourage them to talk to each other.
And that's, to me anyway, John, and maybe I just missed it when you announced Cosmos, that wasn't clear to me originally, but it's very much now sort of geared toward the developer, because you've got a voice that can help them, as opposed to, that's our job to be the sort of independent journalist, right?
Right.
So that, I think, is a great fit for you guys. And when I look
We're
at
not
the
coming for
content-
you. AI might be, but we're not coming for you.
Honestly, we're not worried. It's, like,
It's all good.
You talk about vast, you know inside and out, but there you go.
I'm curious about how you're going to measure its success. If it is about deepening collaboration and accelerating adoption, what are your hopes for this partnership?
You know, if I think about, so my team's responsible mostly for the technology partner track, and I have a peer that's responsible for the others. On the developer side, it's also very interesting just to look at the engagement. So we have an entire DevRel team now in our company focused on engaging with developers. On the technology partner track, it's a very simple mission I give my team. We want to work with everybody that has shares the same vision, right? So I got asked a question yesterday. You guys are, VAST is so closely tied with NVIDIA, for example. We love NVIDIA, we partner with them heavily, but at the end of the day, there will be other hardware platforms we will also have to support over time. Similarly, from an ecosystem perspective on the software side, we launched with about 60 partners this week. I want to see that number become 600 and then eventually 6,000, right? Because that shows a strengthening community and an ecosystem which is all focused on driving value and solutions to the customer, right? And so that's my hope, my aspiration. We're going to work hard to get there.
Well, congrats on getting here and having your first customer event. It's good to see you.
Glad you were able to make it.
Yeah.
From Boston.
No problem.
Yeah.
Man, this blizzard. Anyway, John, a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Rebecca Knight for Dave Vellante. Stay tuned for more of theCUBE's live coverage of Vast Forward 2026. You're watching theCUBE, the leader in enterprise tech news and analysis.